Hello and welcome back to what is, if you can believe it, our final show of Avixa TV live from ISC. If you've been following along at home, we hope you've enjoyed everything that we've thrown at you this year, and if you're in Barcelona, we hope you've had an amazing time on the show floor. But we haven't finished just yet. My name's Ben, this is Sam, and we're thrilled to be joined once again by our friends at Wesco Anixter. It's Phil Langley and Charlie Mertz. Hey guys, how you doing?
Good.
Welcome.
Very
Thanks
well.
for having us.
Nice to be here again.
Excellent. I feel like every time we get people on the show, the first thing we ask them is how they're feeling, but it doesn't really work early on. Now that we're at the penultimate day, I think we can really get some, raw data about how the feet, how's the energy levels, what's the crowd been like in the halls?
Energy's good, but tired.
Yeah.
It's been a great show,
That
as
sounds
it is every year, but it's been particularly good for us.
wonderful.
Tell you what, I'm a stalwart for this.
Yeah.
It's my 20th ISE.
Wow.
Really?
I was there in Geneva in 2003, I think it was. Just unbelievable. the
Well,
difference.
happy 20th anniversary.
Yeah, there we go,
you very
a veteran of the sport. So we'd love to talk to you about Wesco Anixter as a business. And a services forward approach is something that you talk a lot about. Why is that so valuable for your partners and to the goal of reimagining global tech distribution?
I think our industry's disrupting a lot, and we'll talk about the dirty word of commoditization, but we do see it's been in our industry for a long time, and as we go to an area where the volumes are higher and the complexity is lower, a lot of our channel partners and the new entrants into Pro AV need a lot of help. So we like to help them out. We're not a distributor that will be the cheapest box, but we are a distributor that can help them moving into this new world. Remember, a service for us could be financial carrying costs. As volumes go up, complexity goes down, they're buying from their manufacturer, they have to put that on their own balance sheet.
Mm-hmm.
And what we say is that let us put it on our balance sheet, let us pack it, let us put it in, take it off the shelf, take the packaging off it, DOA test it, cut the cable to length, put it on a pallet in the order it comes off, ship it to site in the order that your PM wants that to be in, and then the invoice clock starts as soon as that pallet's on the ground. So that's a financial service, working capital service that we provide, along with lots of other services. So I think that's really important that we put that forward because it's a differentiator for our business.
Absolutely, and I think it's that point there, that specific one you made about the logistical side of things, having it delivered when it's required. I imagine that's a huge advantage for your customers.
Well, that's the global nature of our business, right? So Wesco's 100 years old, Anixter's 75 years old. 5 years ago, the two melded together. We're a 20,000 seat company now. 50 countries around the world, 35 languages, 30 plus currencies, local billing. The ability for us to kit stage anywhere on the planet is kind of invaluable for the customers. Right?
Wonderful. And I know, Phil, you had mentioned commoditization, and we know right now it's a major trend that we're really seeing in the industry. So I want to know, rather than resisting it, why is it so crucial to start embracing it and find new opportunities within that?
Because I guess you can't hold the tide back, but it's always been in our industry. I mean, I was at Barco just recently, and they have a little museum there, and they started the world 96 years ago building radios, and they moved into televisions, and they're the ones that developed the overblown CRT, which is effectively, I've even seen the old 3-gun projectors that used to be in the aircraft. Now you can get a projector that sits in your top pocket that's brighter and has a better resolution. It's always been in our industry. So I think it's important that we embrace it as an industry. And it's not just ours, it's all technology. It gets smaller and gets better, right? That's the first thing. The second thing is that it's really challenging. I think it has accelerated, and it's really challenging some business models, which is why we took services forward.
How does Wesco Anixter fit into the continuing return to office journey? Because that's something that is really going on, and then there are some struggles in that at the moment. And I'd love to know where you see yourselves in that kind of timeline.
Well, it's funny, return to office, we talked about this a lot internally, didn't we? Do we actually call it return to office anymore? It's geography driven, right? You find a lot of the businesses in Asia Pacific, they didn't leave.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas in the Western world, yeah, the a different uptake and different return rate, if you like. But the return to office, and I talk about this a lot on our stand, is being able to understand that experience that we all had during the pandemic, the rise of the soft codecs. Having that experience back in the office, because usually you got back in the office and there'd be an old speakerphone, right, with an ISDN line. Get frustrated, the crackle when your mobile phone starts ringing, right? We all remember that. But yeah, we see return to office as a hybrid workplace. So it's very much a hybrid thing, and it's not just the meeting room, it's the entire building, right? The reception area, the town hall space, the cafeteria, all of that is about the return to office experience, not just a meeting room.
I think technology underpins it, right? You've got to have a reason to come back to the office. I live in the US, and there's a real push to get people back into the office in the US. How they police that is going to be interesting. And we're doing the same thing at Wesco. We want people back in the office 5 days a week. But you've got to make sure that, I have 2 gig up and down in my home. I can't go in and make sure there's, if there's only 20 meg, right? So it's the technology is a compelling reason to get back to the office, but it also ties back into your first questions about, the service forward, the commoditized product. Our job is to underpin these deployments. Where we used to do 4 rooms, then it went to 40 rooms, it's now 4,000 rooms. So how do we do that quickly? So if a company needs to deploy quickly anywhere in the world, and we already know that technology underpins the hybrid working environment, then we can realize that a lot quicker than other organizations.
Yeah, and I suppose in many ways, like you say, giving people a reason to come back to the office, it's important, as strange as it sounds, it's important to try and replicate their home working environment as much as possible, because a lot of these people, the people they're communicating with on the far end may still be working from home, and they've been able to have that opportunity to do all these calls where they're in a nice space. Often at home, when we're in our spare room, it's a small room, soft furnishings, it's a really good acoustic environment to have VC calls and stuff like that. You then stick someone back in an office that's cavernous with hot desks and it's loud.
They don't want to be there.
Yeah, exactly.
And yes, in terms of managing all of that data, since there's all these different spaces now, data is more abundant than ever, right? And making sense of it seems to be a real challenge. So why is the aggregation of IoT data and its transformation into actionable intelligence, why is that so particularly critical with solutions like Entro SIM?
Yeah, I think, interesting, I think it's an evolution. We're talking the OT space, which is really the plant and the air conditioning and the lighting and the smart building, and it's tying that into all the technology. Remember, we are a really creative market or industry where we take disparate gear and we bring it together and realize an outcome. That world's changed. IT is the buyer, right? Yep. It all hangs off the network. The security hangs off the network. The entry, access control comes off the network. So everything's on the network. And it wasn't that long ago we would go into a building and every technology subset would have their own interface. Mm-hmm. So now with products like IntraSim, we have the ability to tie the OT space, the plant, and with the IT space, and as a subset of that is the Pro AV. You can monitor everything. As a building owner, as a company owner, you could, again, it's about that environment they walk into. And then I think you might have seen a theme of command and control, a NOC/SOC space, right? Mm-hmm. Every corporate office has one, every data center has one. We can roll all this data up onto this one large network operations center. So really it's it's a progression into different technologies all coming together. And using that data to run these offices.
Yeah, you've got the convergence of IT and AV. We've all seen that. That's happened, right? And we talked earlier in the summer about enterprise broadcast AV and the convergence of data centers, hyperscalers, going into that broadcast world internally, as well as the streamers. But the smart building is the panacea, right? That's where everyone wants to get to. And Phil was talking about, it's air conditioning units, it's industrial lighting, and all of these things speak really old languages. They're really simple languages. BACnet, for example, Modbus is a building management system languages, right? And the ability to bring all of that data in, as well as the IT, the AV, the security, into a single pane of glass, have it reported, that's your smart building, right there.
One final thing before we go. We were speaking earlier, Phil, about how busy the stand has been this year. And you said it's not always easy to get people on the stand, so you must be doing something right. If you could put your finger on it, what is it that you've been doing right at Wesco Anixter this
I think
year?
it's like any kind of branding. You keep dripping on the rock, and I think our job was to steer the juggernaut that is Wesco Anixter at this pivoting and changing Pro AV industry. But we're lucky enough to know that it's coming at us just as quickly as we're going at it.
Yeah.
And I think the recognition, things that we're doing here with you guys, they understand where we sit in the world, we understand our value proposition, and that's resonating. And we haven't had any trouble filling the booth, that's for sure.
Well,
Good.
that's wonderful.
I was going to say it's because I'm there.
Yeah, well, and you're the one who knows the booth number, I gather.
Yes.
2U220.
There we
Good
go, what a
job.
pro. What a couple of pros.
Yeah.
Thank you so much indeed for joining
Thanks,
us.
Ben.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Ben.
Ben.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Sam.